All right, guys. So I think we are going to keep going because we're down to about 40 minutes left, and I'm sure you guys have other things to get on with today. Um, so thanks again for Celine going first. That was really good to get that theoretical kind of start. For my part, I want to focus a little bit more on the practical side. Um, and talk a little bit about methodology, right? How we teach. So I'm also still stuck on the West Coast. I'm in Old Mexico. I'm in California. So me and Celine are kind of waiting and seeing what's going to happen. Um, Hopefully we get good news this week because we've been waiting really since about May, I think, to like really find out when we're gonna show up in Taiwan. So we're jealous that you guys are there. Most of you are already there eating those little pineapple cakes. Can't wait to have more of those. Bubble tea, all the night market action, and a lot of other stuff. So I'll really not go into an intro. I think some of you have read it on the Google Classroom page. But for me, Celine, and Matt, if you stay in TESOL long enough, I mean, pretty much all roads would lead to like something like an English language fellowship, which is a really great experience, life changing, and kind of a building block in your career. So it's something that's really special and really cool. We can talk about that later, another time. Hopefully, we have a whole year together to talk about such things. So, like I said, we had a lot of terms just now, and you guys have probably been getting a lot of that. So I would rather get into kind of just discussing the basics of teaching and how CLIL is done in Taiwan. So what we are going to do is we are going to watch a clip um, of an ETF from last year. I don't know if he's still in the program. Matt would know. But he was an ETF, and it's a 3-part video. We're not going to watch the whole thing. Obviously, it's too long, but I think he's a really great example of how CLIL can be implemented in Taiwan or really with young students anywhere. He provides a great example, things to talk about, and it will really help us to get to know what teaching is like for you specifically and how it relates to Edgar in the Taiwanese context. So before we watch the video, it's about 12 minutes. Like I said, we're not going to watch the whole thing. But I want to share 2 questions to keep in mind. So while you're watching, please take notes. These are basic questions to get our conversation going after we watch the video. So I'm gonna share. Oops. I'm gonna share my 2 questions in the chat box. So this is the first question. In what ways is Edgar's teaching style effective? How does he maintain control while keeping students engaged? And the second question is really a little bit more subjective, but I want to know how you think his teaching style could also be improved. So the 2 questions are in the chat box. I'm going to pull up the video. And I'm sure seeing Edgar with his students will bring back a lot of memories, hopefully good ones. But let's see how he does it, and then we'll come back on the other side, and we'll talk about what we think of his teaching. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen. All right, so let's go straight to it. Everybody can see it, hopefully. If you can't, let me know. And let's start. Please take notes on those 2 questions.
Touch your ears. Sinuses touch your forehead. Sinuses touch your chest. Sinuses put your hands on your table. Good morning, class. happy to see you. Roger, let's go in quickly. Brian, come in quickly. So we have been learning all about class dojo points. Say class dojo. Class dojo. Close dojo. I'm going to be giving class dojo, Brian, sit down. I'm going to give class dojo points to the friends who are watching me. Ooh, you know, just like Elsa. I see Elsa's watching me. I'm going to give her a point. I'm going to give dojo points to the friends who are listening. Ooh, I noticed Viola's listening. I'm going to give her a point. I'm going to be giving points to the friends who have their mouth. Yes. I'm only gonna, and you can participate. If you wanna know, if you wanna share something, you gotta raise your. Oh, very good, Jasper. I'm gonna go ahead and give you the point. Oh, I'm gonna close the door. This is a little loud. So today, you have the PowerPoint? Yeah. Today, we are gonna learn about the butterfly life cycle. Repeat after me. Butterfly life cycle. Butterfly life cycle. Butterfly life cycle. Listen. Thank you, Brian. Apple, class. And you know the hungry caterpillar wanted to eat a lot because he wanted to change it. You don't know what it is. He wanted to change. So today we're gonna learn about how the caterpillar changed. So repeat after me. I can name the four stages of the butterfly life cycle. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 stages. Oh, very good. So, thank you. Say stage number 1. Show me your hand. Egg. 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 Stage number 1. Egg. Stage number 2. Caterpillar. 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 And the caterpillar saying, someday I will become a beautiful butterfly. So it's eating a lot because it wants to be a butterfly. Say, stage number 2. Returning to hear you. Caterpillar. Very good. Stage number 3. Tricky, don't get fooled. Tricky, don't get fooled. Chrysalis. Show me with your hands, Casper. Chrysalis. Are we doing this? Because it's the home of the caterpillar. So chrysalis is inside his home. Chrysalis. Stage number 4. Butterfly. Very good, class. So we're gonna be watching a video. So when we watch a video, our eyes are gonna be on the board, our lips are gonna be closed, and our ears are gonna be listening. just go ahead, watch a song by children's songs, sing along. Children's songs, make everybody's song. Butterfly egg, caterpillar chrysalis. Butterfly egg, caterpillar chrysalis. Flutter and fly in the sky. That's the life cycle of a butterfly. Changes, round like this. It's called metamorphosis. The butterfly lays her tiny eggs on the leaf. They're so tiny and hard to see. The eggs hatch into a small caterpillar. It bunches lots of leaves and gets bigger and bigger. The caterpillar hangs in the shape of a J. A chrysalis is formed, the caterpillar is changed. When the caterpillar's changes are all done, a beautiful butterfly has become. It's amazing. The butterfly's metamorphosis happens in 4 stages. Butterfly egg, caterpillar chrysalis. Butterfly egg, caterpillar chrysalis. Flutter and fly in the sky. That's the life cycle of a butterfly. Changes, round like this. It's called metamorphosis. Did you like this bit? Class? Yes. So we can do the next slide. So what is stage number 1? Hey, very good, Amy. Stage number 1 is egg. Say egg. What's stage number 2? What's stage number 3? Chrysalis. What's stage number 4? Yes. And then the next slide. Yeah. Just pass it. Yeah. Okay. So today we're gonna play a game, but we need the 4 stages. So first comes the second comes the third comes the chrysalis. Fourth comes the very good. So today we're gonna play rock, paper, scissors. Say rock, paper, scissors. So we are all, everybody, very good for your eyes, Claire. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you so much, Jasmine, for your eyes. Thank you, Ruki, for your eyes. Thank you, Matthew. We're all gonna start as a tiny little egg. So we're gonna be walking quietly, finding another egg. So I need to find another egg. I need to find another teacher. Yeah. Are you an egg? Yeah. You're an egg. So I'm gonna come. Are we the same? The same? Yeah. Thank you. The same, Andrew. Thank you. So we're gonna go rock, paper, scissors. Oh, I'm sorry. It's okay. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Oh, who won? I won. So I'm still an egg. But you are a caterpillar. You are a caterpillar. So I need another egg. Who could be another egg with me? Oh, okay, let's go, Andrew. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. 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 Oh, I win. I'm a caterpillar. I need to find another caterpillar. Who's a caterpillar? Oh, no, you're still a teacher. Yeah. Okay, so we're caterpillars together. So now we can do it. Are we the same? Yeah. Okay. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. She win again. I don't get it. So it's chrysalis. So she's a chrysalis. Who's a caterpillar? I need to find another caterpillar. So I need to find another caterpillar. my play friend? Class. If I friend of mine and I become a chrysalis, what do I become after the chrysalis? A butterfly. What do I become after a chrysalis? So you know what? So first comes, second comes, third comes, chrysalis, fourth comes, butterfly. Okay, so I went from there to caterpillar, Roger, to chrysalis. When I become a butterfly, I win the game. So I'm gonna go find my seat and I'm gonna sit down. When I become a butterfly, I'm gonna sit down. Okay, let's see who can do it. Simon says touch your head. Simon says touch your ears. Simon says stand up. Simon says push your head. Brian, pushing your chair. Simon says hands by our side. Simon says get your leg out. Simon says find another egg. Find another egg. Oh.
Okay, guys, so thanks for watching the video. And I know we have some LETs with us, and so it'd be great to have some feedback from them too if they want to chime in. But so I asked you to think about two questions. I really like Edgar's style. It's not necessarily the same as mine, but I think it's really worth looking at and talking about what's effective. So I wrote down about 14 things that I thought were pretty good, and not too many that I was questioning. So I'd like to have a little bit of a discussion rather than just, having people click on multiple choices. So I've been working with a few of you already on the assignments. So I was gonna have maybe Gretchen start us off if you're out there somewhere. Oh yeah, I see you. Okay. So can you share with us, one of the things, or maybe even two that you thought stood out about?
I liked that he was calling out students for like good behavior or calling to students who weren't engaged to make sure that students have attention. And I liked the way he was adding, like he was combining words, like he was speaking words and pointing them out on the board and adding signals. So it was a lot of different ways that students could learn, not just saying, oh, this is egg. He was showing an egg or he was pointing to the word egg so that you could see that in many ways.
Yeah, great point. So he's reinforcing the content all the time, right? He's not letting them even have a chance to forget it. Um, and yeah, he's very complimentary, right? He's very polite. He's modeling polite behavior. Thank you, please. And yeah, great points. What about Esther or Lee? Are you out there? What else stood out to you about his teaching?
I really liked how he was modeling a lot and he gave students like opportunity to also like when he was showing the rock paper scissors game, he was modeling it with his co-teacher and he kept reinforcing back to the life cycle of the butterfly. I think it was really creative how he integrated both the game into the lesson.
Yeah. So this is this can be one of the challenges about teaching younger students, but there's a lot of modeling and demonstration. And fortunately, he's with the LET who can help a lot with role playing and showing them how to do it. But yeah, all the time, they're modeling how to do the desired behavior from the students, right? sometimes you might feel a little bit silly because kids can be silly, but uh, I think children respond really well when you're willing to kind of get down on their level and kind of just physically get involved in the lesson. And one of the methodologies he uses is total physical response, right? Where he has the students using their bodies. They stand up, they move around, they're making, they're trying to do like the egg shape and the chrysalis shape and everything else. So the kids kind of forget that they're learning, right? Because they're just responding in the moment to his questions. Yeah, great point. Who else did I ask? Is Lee here? I don't think Lee has spoken up yet.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, Lee.
Something I really like about what he's doing is that he has various like call and response, which is great for classroom management and also great to also give instructions. Like his whole Simon Says was to get them out of their chairs and get them moving. And that was also making sure they were engaged. I think classroom management is sometimes underestimated and it's important in teaching content because if the students aren't engaged in what you're saying, then
I heard the
nothing
first
else
few
goes
seconds. I didn't hear the
Oh,
rest
I
of the
say his
response.
call and response was really good. Like his call and response cues, I think are really, they're well practiced. The students have that routine set up and there's an expectation for attention when he does certain ones.
Yeah, great. Thanks for bringing up call and response. And in that same vein, it's very musical, right? He's using music to teach. He's having them repeat certain sounds, and he even this one, not on my complaints, but something I was questioning was when he kind of manipulates the sounds of some of the vocabulary words, right? He takes it that far, but yeah, it's very musical. The call and response, it's physical, and it keeps them engaged. Yeah. Celine, what is there anything you would want to add? Like, what stood out to you as a seasoned teacher? I mean, what was like, what did you like?
I think you hit, or you guys hit, the big points, demos, songs, TPR. I really like, well, obviously, they seem to be, they have been with this teacher for a while. So he had them trained, like to answer to his attention getters. And the way he got the students engaged. The students knew, it seems like they know, to expect, TPR. So they respond well to that. What else did I have? Verbal praises. At the beginning, if you guys watch the whole video, all 3 parts, he never mentioned Cloud Dojo ever again, even though he mentioned it at the beginning. I don't know if you guys caught that. However, that's fine. But he does stick to verbal praises, and that is huge for young learners. So I really like that.
Yeah, great point. Yeah, and like Celine said, he obviously has a lot of rapport with the students, and that doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. This is obviously not the first month of class, most likely. Um, but yeah, I mean, you might have to put in a lot more work that first month to make the rest of the term easier for you, right? Like it's going to take a lot more energy, rapport building, and even things that seem like really, kind of benign, like Simon Says, is that really effective? But when I watch them, it's really good because it promotes careful listening. So they're always listening carefully when he speaks because they're used to playing Simon Says, and Simon Says has very specific rules, right? So even things that seem really not super helpful, actually, all these little things are building up. Is there anyone else who wants to throw something in? I know we covered a few of them, but any of the LETs or another of the ETFs who want to add something that stood out to you? Okay, that's fine, because we don't have tons of time. What about, I mean, everybody has a different teaching style, but is there anything that you questioned about his teaching? Anything that seemed too goofy or too out of what you would do? Anybody want to share. I think, Aaron, I've seen some of your work on the classroom. Aaron, do you want to share anything that you wrote down in that section?
Sorry, is that me, Aaron?
Yeah, I think
There's-
you're the only one. You're the only one. You're special.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I was kind of curious about was just whether or not he was checking for understanding. Like maybe there was something after the clip where he was able to narrow in on whether or not the whole class was with him. Just because I know that call and response, sometimes you only hear the loudest people in the room or the people that are comfortable speaking and understanding what's going on. And so I was just curious whether he did anything afterwards or whether that was part of his teaching plan to check in with all of them on a more individual level.
Yeah, great point. So I think he kind of, I mean, he's clearly doing his best, which is really good. And so he's checking comprehension, I think, throughout when he's teaching the stages, right? But yeah, I mean, he probably, we don't know what happens right at the end of the video. Does he do comprehension again after the end of the game? If you keep watching his videos, you'll see what they do next, and that he doesn't actually check on comprehension at the end of the lesson. But again, he's probably got 12 things on his mind, so it slips sometimes. Some things like that happen. Yeah, but like I said, great example. Nothing I would really talk about too much, but like I said, the exaggerated pronunciation for me was a little bit distracting. I know they're children. I'm sure like half of us think that's a good idea, and half are like, that's just gonna make them go crazy and start screaming and all that stuff. So it depends on your students. Obviously, he knows them. He can be goofy with them, and they're not gonna run around screaming. But it's really just a personal kind of thing. But otherwise, I'm gonna get into really small stuff, I think. Yeah, but yeah, you're right, Aaron. He doesn't review the material final time. Yeah. Okay, so a couple other things I want to talk to. We've got a little more than 10 minutes, but I want to talk a little bit about lesson planning, content, and time management. So if you guys, I'm sure you probably didn't write this in your notes, but if you think back to his lesson plan is pretty simple. It's not too complicated. The complicated stuff is what happens off the paper, what he's doing in front of the students, right? So he starts off really simple with a greeting, a kind of game. He introduces the topics. He shows that little video with the music. He keeps it short, which is a good idea, but the students are zoned in. And then he has the game, right? Which he demonstrates. They know how to play it, and he makes sure he doesn't start until they demonstrate that they know how the rules work, right? So this is only about 12 minutes, and these classes are, you'll have to remind me, they're about 40 minutes, 45 minutes, something like that. So very short. So I'm wondering, what do you think you would do? You've got 12 minutes done. You've got about 30 minutes more, 25 minutes more with these students. How would you fill up the time? What would you do next? He's done a lot of speaking, right? And we always try to talk about like student-centered teaching. So does anybody want to volunteer? I mean, what could you do after this to keep the ball rolling? They're engaged, they're having fun. What else can you do? And let's see, we've asked Aaron. Is Kiambi here, or Gabrielle, maybe? Really, anybody can chime in. Or Sabrina, or Eliza. I guess they're not here. Okay. So a couple things I was thinking of are, well, you would see if you watch the rest of his videos, but as I said, he's spending a lot of time in front of them, talking, moving around, and students need some kind of balance, right? So some obvious things I'm sure you've used are passing out things like worksheets, right? Worksheets can be very helpful. They can be not as helpful. It really depends on how you use them. But when you watch the second part of this video later, you'll see that the students are used to having worksheets. It's part of their routine. And because they just learned this material, they apply it directly to the worksheets, right? And the worksheet is also really good if you're thinking like a teacher, because it gives him a little time to catch his breath, right? To walk around. Obviously, he's not going to sit down, but it gives him a chance to kind of catch his breath and think about what's happening next in the lesson. After the worksheet, he goes into a kind of craft activity where they physically make a kind of a kind of butterfly on a piece of paper with crayons and markers and that kind of thing. And that ends up taking a long time. When I was watching the video, they literally spent about 8 minutes just cleaning up. So that's a great thing about teaching kids, is there's this kind of downtime, whereas when you're teaching adults, there's no cleanup time. You're always, teaching. So that's the good thing about kids, is it kind of winds down naturally. They're helping you clean up and showing you what they did. And then again, like Aaron mentioned, that's a good time to check for if they understood the material well. Okay, a couple other things. Yeah. I'm wondering, do you think they covered a lot of material during the lesson? If, this is just 12 minutes, but are they really covering a lot? Are they learning a lot of words, a lot of science, or is it a smaller amount? Gretchen, what do you think? Are they really covering a lot of material or not so much?
I think it depends on the grade, because they looked like they could have been like second or third grade, and that's a lot for second. Like that's a good amount for second or third grade, I've found. Like if you shove too much at them, they're not gonna learn anything. So if you're like focusing on 4 main words like he was doing, like by the end of class, they should have those 4 words, and that's a good amount.
Yeah, good point. So it really depends on the age or the skill level of the students. Kids definitely are sponges, but yeah, I mean, they're like adults. So when you throw too many acronyms at them or too many words, it's like, okay, that's enough. So we don't really know if they spent a week on that, 2 weeks, how much time they really spent on that. Hopefully it was more than a day. But yeah, I mean, only a few vocabulary words, but when you see him trying to teach the word chrysalis, I'm like, wow, that's a tough one. Like, yeah. So yeah, it's a little ambitious, but he really hammers the words home because he keeps bringing them up, right? So, and hopefully he did that for a few more days or for the rest of the week, off and on. Does the teacher have a chance really to rest at all? I mean, when you're teaching kids, it's really hard to kind of catch your breath sometimes. So I'm wondering, how do you plan for that, or do you struggle with that? How does that work for you? Do you ever get really exhausted in the middle of the lesson? And if so, how do you try to change it in the future? Yeah. Lindsay, do you have any thoughts on that? How do you like rest in the lesson at all?
I think it's important to lean on your co-teacher. For me, I don't have too much of a problem with energy in my lessons because I think the kids give me energy, and it can also be born from the activity you're doing. So if you're doing an activity or teaching a subject that you care about and you have fun with and you're passionate about, I think the lesson comes easier and you're going to do better in general. But if you need to lean on your to take a break moment and go get some water because there's a reason. Not burning out too less and not doing a ton of incredibly physical activity.
All right. I heard most of it. I think it cut out a little bit at the end, but yeah, great reminder that thank God you have a teammate there most of the time, and you guys can help each other out, kind of like a tag team situation, right? Sometimes she's there with him in the front. They're demonstrating the game together. But man, it really takes teamwork, right? Because when he's teaching, when he's in the front corner, he can't be in the back corner at the same time. So fortunately, she's kind of going around, keeping them on task. And yeah, it takes a lot of just constant awareness and focus, but that's teaching, right? All levels, actually, not just children. Um, yeah, so also when I was watching this video, I put this question in the chat, but um, the teacher spends a good amount of time actually just kind of managing the class and checking in with them, doing the call and response, and spends maybe less time actually teaching the content. What would you say for these percentages? How much time is he actually spending teaching, and how much time is he spending just managing the class, tracking them, checking in with them, things like that? Is it 50-50? Anybody can type it into the chat. This is not scientific, but is it 75-25? Is it 50-50? And do you think, what do you think about that balance? Is that normal to spend, maybe 66% or 75% just introducing something, managing them, etc.? Mhm. Can you describe a little bit what you mean, Reese? Like like this is obviously he's teaching a science lesson. So in your experience, okay, yeah, that's fine. Not everybody has to speak up. They can type if they want. But yeah, that's probably a pretty good number, 20-25%. But yeah, I mean, like, this is a small sample. It's about 12 minutes, but about half of the time maybe is spent just not on the content itself, but just checking in with them constantly, right? Okay, we're almost done here. I want to leave because we're gonna have a whole section on reflection, but we don't have time for that. So I wanted to reflect on instead making this a little bit more personal for you, but I'd like you to think about and compare and contrast your teaching style with Edgar's. I've been talking a lot as well. I need to balance out my percentage. But Esther or Lee, what do you think? What is his style? Like, give me a few adjectives that describe Edgar in the classroom, and how are you in comparison to him?
I'll go. I think he's a very energetic teacher. He really fits elementary school energy, which makes sense. I know him. He was a kindergarten teacher for years and years. So this is the age group he's comfortable with. And I like to think I'm energetic. Maybe not as energetic as him. I think he's got great stamina.
Yeah, great point. So it's good you have a little bit of backstory on him. This is like the ideal type of lower elementary type of teacher, like super high energy, very complimentary with the students, not flustered by anything, and just on top of everything, right? Yeah. Matt, are you there?
Of course, I'm here. Of course.
I don't know if you know Edgar, but I mean, what do you think about his style, and how would you compare it or contrast it with your own?
So yeah, I really liked Edgar's style. I thought he had a lot of confidence, and I think the confidence, he just had this natural energy and natural teaching presence. And I thought he had very great classroom management, but the tools he used were very simple, right? So every time the call and response, every time I say class, class, you say yes, yes. And just day one, just get a system. You can make up your own. I've heard, I say Hakuna, you say Matata, right? So it really can be anything, your call and response, but just that simple tool, any dead air. So he had absolutely no dead air. There was never silence in the class. And I think with young kids, when you have dead air, that's when they start turning to their neighbor almost right away. You have 10 seconds of dead air, the kids are throwing paper at each other or something, right? So if he didn't know what was going to come next, he just used that call and response. That gives them 5 seconds of filler time just to get one step ahead of the class. And then I liked how many times he repeated the vocabulary. A lot of times, teachers will only say the vocabulary twice, usually, like egg, egg, and that's it. And they go on to the next word. So he was really doing it, over 10 times for each word. So I actually liked his vocal variations just because it let him repeat the words, more and more and more without losing student engagement. So yeah, I was very impressed. Yeah, he probably is more energetic than me as a teacher, and I would like him to use more of his co-teacher. So I think he was doing too much work in the class. So one of the beauties of co-teaching is teaching is exhausting, but when you can balance the workload with your co-teacher, it kind of reduces the teacher burden on both of you, which should be in proportion. So I thought he was working too hard. Like, he's a great teacher, so maybe he was sometimes.
Maybe that's his
Maybe,
thing,
yeah.
his lesson. He loves the Chrysalis lesson.
Right. So yeah, even if one teacher outshines the other, it's okay. Like, the stronger teacher maybe has more experience or just more wisdom, but because of that, they know also how to use the other teacher as a tool, as an effective tool in the classroom, so they can raise each other up. So there should be a balance, even if your experiences are out of balance.
Yeah, great point. It's very yin and yang, right? Like, so he's very energetic. He loves that lesson. That's his thing. And she's there, like, making sure everything goes as planned, right? She doesn't have to speak up as much, maybe. So it's a small sample size. We've seen, 10 minutes of them together. But yeah, great point, Matt, that if their classes were always like that, we would start to think like, okay, why isn't she talking more? But we don't know for sure. Yeah, he projects a lot of confidence, and exactly right. Every teacher needs to have a system. Like, we're always just building a toolkit, and wherever you teach, wherever you go, you'll bring your toolkit with you. And so in his case, he has Simon Says, he has the call and response, and all these other little tricks. They might seem a little tedious at first, but they work and they keep the students engaged, and they prevent what would take a lot more energy, which is like corralling them back, getting their attention again. So they seem like a lot of little things, but in the end, they make everything work really smooth. So really good points. We're out of time, but that was really good. I'm glad everybody, or mostly everybody, could meet up. It's good to see everybody's face. I'm glad some of the LETs were here, and even some coordinators, right? Like, who are the coordinators? Kenny's here. Kenny, who are the other coordinators?
Carrie, Fonda, and Virgil.
Okay, nice. So there's three coordinators, and then Fonda's the boss. Very much. Cool. Yeah, so you guys got to move on with your day. You guys know our email addresses. Hopefully we have really good news soon, because obviously me and Celine are super jealous. We're stuck and out here, all these forest fires. So hopefully we can come out there soon. Yeah, we'll leave it there unless Celine or Matt want to chime in, or anybody has any questions, any final thoughts. Sounds good. Okay, so we will hopefully see each other soon, online or in person, and then yeah, can't wait to be there physically, eating all the snacks and everything. So take care. Hopefully you get out of quarantine soon, or you're out of it already. And yeah, Matt, anything else?
I think you covered it all.
We covered it all. Yeah, Matt's turn next time. So yeah, thanks guys. It was great, and thanks for your feedback, and we'll talk soon. Take care. Bye.